After God, I owe all to my mother. She was so good. Virtue passes readily from the heart of a mother into that of her children. As I was sitting with my 92-year-old mother last Monday, I pondered these words spoken by St. John Vianney, the Cure of Ars, whom Pope Benedict has chosen as the model and the patron for all priests in this year of the priest. My mother bore me in the womb and defended my life literally from the first moment of conception. That was especially significant for me. In 1951, my mother had fallen down the stairs while I was still in her womb, and she began to hemorrhage very badly. She was rushed to the hospital, and doctors cautioned her that trying to save me might cost her her life. She insisted that I be saved. Long before I was taught the catechism, my mother taught me my first prayers. Even without words, she trained me as I watched her receive Jesus in the Holy Eucharist and return from the altar rail with reverence and gratitude. Many mornings, I would see her saying her rosary in bed, and often she would invite me and my other siblings to join her. As a child growing up, I knew that the way to my Father's heart was through my mother, for he would rarely refuse her anything. And this past Monday, watching my mother sit next to my father and tenderly hold my father's hand, I understood the meaning of the vows spoken in their marriage 65 years ago. For better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health. Karol Joseph Wojtyła was just 1 month short of his 9th birthday when he lost his mother. She was 45 when kidney and heart problems led to her death in 1929. Later in life, he admitted that his mother's contribution to his vocation must have been great. Over this your white grave, he wrote poetically in the spring of 1939 at the age of 19 when visiting his mother's tomb in Krakow. The flowers of life in white. So many years without you, how many have passed out of sight? Over this your white grave, covered for years, there is a stir in the air, something uplifting and like death beyond comprehension. Over this your white grave, O Mother, can such loving cease? For all his filial adoration a prayer. Give her eternal peace. After his mother died, Karol Wojtyła turned to Mary to be his mother. From the shaping of Marian devotion in his early childhood to his final hours, when an image of the suffering Christ and a painting of the Blessed Mother hung near his bed in the papal apartment, and even in death, when a cross and the solitary letter M adorned his casket, the Blessed Mother never left him. At the age of 30, the young Father Wojtyła wrote of Mary accompanying him in his final agony in a poem that was to become remarkably prophetic. How attentive is your stillness. It will always be a part of me. I lift myself towards it, will one day grow so used to it that I will lay still, transparent as water vanishing into a dry riverbed, though my body will remain. Your disciples will come and hear that my heartbeat has stopped. This maternal relationship was the heart of Carol Wojtyła's priestly vocation. Years later, as Pope, he would write, "On Calvary, Jesus entrusted a new motherhood to Mary when he said to her, 'Woman, behold your son.'" We cannot overlook the fact that when this motherhood was proclaimed, it was in regard to a priest, the beloved disciple. With the other disciples, John belonged to the first group of priests now. At Mary's side at the foot of the cross, he replaced the one supreme priest who was leaving the world. Jesus' gaze, the Pope writes, extended beyond John to the long series of his priests in every age until the end of the world. At the same time, Jesus also said to John, "Behold your mother." To the beloved disciple and priest apostle, he entrusted the task of caring for Mary as his own mother, of loving her, venerating her, and protecting her. These words, the Pope writes, are the origin of Marian devotion. The fact that they were addressed to a priest is significant. This is why, as a priest, I feel so responsible in promoting and encouraging devotion to Mary. Like the Apostle John on Golgotha, Pope John Paul II invites priests to take Mary to our own home, or even better translated, into our own affairs, by allowing her to dwell within the hope of our sacramental priesthood. Our task, following the example of the Mother of God, is to generate and regenerate people who fall from grace to share again the life of God. You might say, in this spiritual motherhood lived for priests in a manly way as a spiritual motherhood, Mary mothers us into mothering.